Good morning and welcome to our monthly marketing meetup. I'm really excited. So normally Tara is my cohort, my partner here, Tara with Women in Real Estate. But today I have a special guest because Tara's traveling somewhere amazing and living an amazing life. And so I have Tina Bellevue, and a lot of you probably already know Tina. Tina is one of our partners here in Moms in Real Estate. She coaches high performance agents, right, Tina? And then Tina, you're also a team leader and in production yourself as well, still currently, right? So can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump in today?
Yes. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. So you covered it all. I'm in the Baltimore, Maryland market. So that's my team. And I have been coaching and training agents for years. I have a course. I have some like little templates I sell. And it's just so funny that you all reached out to me asking about this exact topic, which is like I've been talking about it on Instagram for the last week. Good email. So I don't know if that's why you reached out, but it was like the universe at work.
It probably was. Courtney's that smart, so it probably was
Okay.
thanks to Courtney. But I had to chuckle a little bit because, I will just be really, really honest. Like I've done a lot of things right in my business. You and I kind of are similar in like creating Facebook groups and doing all these other things right. But one area that I just have not fully like implemented and I really actually don't do is like emailing. And I know too that like, social media gets attention, but a lot of times it's emails where they build the relationships, right? And then there's also the whole entire point of like, social media is rented land, email list or something that you own, right? But I think that most agents, like they don't even know where to start. So anyways, I love that you're so excited about this and I love that you're going to walk us through. And so let's do it, sister.
Yeah, well, I love what you said because about maybe you're not doing email right. Like my entire email strategy is a response to the bad way that I was doing it for a while. I don't like bad, but like it was sort of that I went through this like revolution in my business. So in 2020, I changed brokerages, I left KW, I went to EXP. I was like overhauling everything, my team, like and I gave myself permission to just like back up and look at the way I'd been doing because I've been in real estate since 2005. So it's funny how you can get set in your ways, even though I consider myself not that old. But like by 2020, it was time for me to like.
How long have you been licensed? I'm like a minute, like just
a
while.
okay,
a
minute. I love that. That's what I'm going to start saying.
2000s, like let's just not say 2002, okay?
Yeah. So like, it's funny. Email was definitely on my radar. Like one of the things I say to agents about email marketing is like, and again, like there's no judgment and like there's no perfection and we all have strengths and weaknesses and we all have things where like it's not the area to focus on at a given time or maybe ever. However, if you are wanting to focus on email at all, like the first thing I always say is like, don't send people something that you would not want to receive yourself. So like my inquiry in how to improve my email marketing started from that place of like I was embarrassed of the newsletters I was sending. Like they were just general. They were promoting my listings and open houses to people who bought a house 7 years. Like they just weren't relevant to my list in a way that I felt like that I was proud of it, that it was high value, that it was aesthetic, that I had any sort of like overarching strategy besides the like old school, like 33 touch or whatever of like what we were all trained on. If you are been in the real estate a minute, like you and I. So yeah, I switched platforms and just started experimenting with email content. It's been 6 years now that I've been like refining. And then I really got into a groove with my strategy a couple years ago. And now I'm just running the playbook and then gradually just improving it and modernizing it as I go. So I can say more about it, but that's like been my email journey. And I get so much business from my email. And it's not completely measurable, but I get clues because I will be out seeing people, whether it's in like an actual, client interaction or just like a past client at a passing social event. And they'll be like, I love your latest email. Oh my God. Like
I love that.
People are reading it. So like, I know that it's part of my success. And also I view email as a funnel to constant contact on social media and making sure I'm hitting people both ways, if at all possible. So I use Flowdesk probably like many of you. And I feel like the single most valuable part of my emails is my Instagram grid at the bottom because it always gets the most clicks. It always gets people hopping back on my Instagram. then they're watching my stories, and then we're DMing, and then they're getting the email. And this isn't
So it's
rocket
like a
science,
circle.
but it
Yeah.
works. And it works if you're consistent enough.
So I love that. And those were, you answered some of my questions because, of course, I mean, I think most of us agents always are like, okay, but what is the success? Like, is it working? But for that new agent that has not done this, what is the best first email that an agent should send?
So I think, first of all, you have to make like a philosophical choice of like, am I willing to create some of my own content, or do I want to like outsource that somehow? So like my strategy is for you if you're like, no, I want to curate the content. I don't want it to be crazy or like highly difficult or involve a lot of design or insane amounts of writing and research. But like I'm willing to create something that is like from me, the
Right.
person, versus using a system like HomeBot or Real Scout or buying stuff that's more templated and not as personalized. And there's like absolutely nothing wrong with that. I used HomeBot forever. I think I got HomeBot in 2020 as well, when I just started revitalizing all my systems. And then at the beginning of the year, I switched to Real Scout, which drips on people with home valuations and listings. It's much more of like um, like real estate transaction related platform. And for me, a team account is hundreds per month. So like it's also a huge cost consideration. Flowdesk, the price, it's a spectrum of how big your list is, but if you start with a 50% off promo code for the first year, it's like 10 or 15 bucks a month. So it is definitely like the logical place to start, unless you're like, I'm never going to, like, you just have to have this moment of being honest with yourself of like, I know I'm just not going to do it. I'm not in the headspace. I'm too busy, and then you need to find something that is more automated. I use both. So my sphere gets a monthly email from me that I send through Flowdesk. And then they get like a monthly home valuation. It used to be through HomeBot. Now it's through Real Scout. That's monthly. And you only get that if I have your email and your home address. So that's like a second layer. I don't have addresses for everyone, which is why that core foundational Flowdesk newsletter is so essential, because the number one piece of data I want from people, even before their phone number, is their email address. And this is more me, and not everyone works this way. If you're more of like a prospector or really on top of calling people, but my whole philosophy is like, how do I get people to come to me? I run a very busy coaching business, a very busy real estate team. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I have 3 dogs. I have a big house. My life is full of blessings, and I am not at a point where I am like calling through my database like I used to. And that would be great if I did. I would do more business, but I'm really interested in the low hanging fruit.
Same,
So
sister. Same. If I could call everybody, it'd be great. I just don't have that kind of bandwidth. I'm a core baby. So I don't know if you're familiar with the core, but core coaching. So I was core coached for, a lifetime. And one of the things that we were always coached on was a letter of the heart. And so it was a physical letter of the heart that went out monthly, right? Now, again, I'm dating myself. I'm sure a lot of people have moved their letter of the heart to email, but there was something about getting it tangibly. So, anyways, it went out every single month, and it was never about the industry. It was just something personal. Like, I remember one time I shared a dental trauma, which I didn't really think that through, but it was like a real trauma. And I wanted to help people because the whole message was like, don't make uninformed decisions, right? Because I did that out of out of panic and out of fear and out of like the moment. And I made a decision that I absolutely hated. And so it super resonated. It was like a hit. Like it's probably been like 15 years. And I still get people that walk up and are like, how's the dental trauma? And I'm like, oh my
oh
gosh,
my
talk to me
gosh.
about it. But so I loved it. But the reason I share that is because the whole notion was that you're connecting on something deeper, you're connecting on something personal. And one of the biggest questions that we hear agents ask when it comes to email is like, am I doing polished and professional, or am I just sending something personal? Like, what the heck am I actually sending?
I am obsessed with everything that you just said. I also have dental trauma. We'll talk about that another time, but I have shared
Yes,
about that
yes.
on my Instagram, and it's been very resonant. And ironically, I just had a post kind of go like locally viral, like 30,000 views, which is like really good for my local facing content. And it was inspired by sharing some of my favorite service providers as a 40-year-old woman, and my dentist and my physical therapist were one of them. And the reason I'm saying that And why that matters isn't just for me to tell you some random story, is like those patterns inform what people actually want to be hearing from me on the broad scope that doesn't just have to do with transacting. So I say this to agents all the time. Unless you have a very unusual database, like maybe if you're like military and have very different turnover rates, if you're like a not in a very high turnover rate business, which that's kind of the only example I can think of, at best, 5 to 10% of my database is moving in a year. And I believe that percentage is far lower right now because of rate lockage and people kind of being not moving. The average number of years that people are spending in their houses is increasing. So all of that to say, if I'm talking to this group, in my case, I have thousands of people in my database. When I started, it was 100. So it's been a 21-year journey of my list growth. But so for me, if I am talking to thousands of people and only 100 of them are actually maybe going to move this year, like I'm talking to them about so much more than real estate. So I haven't heard someone mention the heart in a long time. I've never done exactly that, but I would say what I do with Flowdesk is my version of that, of like sharing what I'm up to, what I'm interested in, what I've just discovered, what my tried and true thing or things are for the month. And that is the backbone of my monthly email. I do call it a newsletter in my mind. I don't call it a newsletter to my clients because I like to avoid any sort of framing that this is some recurring, repetitive thing that isn't perennially interesting. So like and subject lines are a really big deal. Like May newsletter, who opens that? If you get May newsletter from like, you know what I mean? It's like, so like subject lines are such a driver of who opens. I'm saying all of this just to kind of shift mindset of like, there's so many like micro mistakes that we can make with email marketing that are so easily corrected by what I'm talking about. So I just started sharing. I have this, the centerpiece of my newsletter is a section called loving locally lately. I like alliteration. And then I just highlight 1 to 3 things that I am loving lately that are local. And what I do is I don't have a great working memory as a mom. I open up my calendar and I just look at every day for the last month and go, where have I been? What have I been doing? And then sometimes things are on my radar, like, oh, this restaurant just opened and it's on my to try list. So sometimes there's stuff that's just in my mind or that I'm noticing is trending online. But most of it is things that I'm actually doing or have done recently. And then I just share. Can I screen share and show what I do? We didn't talk about this in
Yeah,
advance.
absolutely. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay. I just need to
Yeah,
open
no
Flowdesk
problem.
for a second. And I think we're seeing a question pop up, which we can come back to, but
Yeah. Yeah, we'll come back to
yeah,
those.
yeah. I'm going to show you all what I'm sending. Actually, okay. I'm going to show you what I sent in April. And then I'm doing something slightly different for May, which is like a little bit more
And
high
Tina, this is all
level.
being done directly by you, right? This is not something that you're outsourcing.
Correct. So
Yeah.
for me, it's easier to just do it the way I want it. But I am a little bit of a unique bird. Although if you're my people, you're probably the same. Like my voice matters to me.
Right.
I am very pro AI. I'm spending an insane amount of time on AI. But when it comes to my writing, I actually I don't want to read an AI slop newsletter. That is to me
Yeah,
the
I agree.
lowest possible use of my time. So my newsletter is from me. And I think, yeah. And I think some people get nervous about their writing or feeling like this isn't their skill set. And I think like it's very doable if you just give this a chance, is what I want to say. So let me like open this separate window. Where's my little screen share button? I can do this. Okay.
Yeah. As soon as you pop it up, as soon as you bring it and share it, I'll pop it up.
Okay, great. And I'm sharing just the tab I want. Okay.
There we go. All right, good to go.
Yay. Okay. So this is the newsletter that I sent out in April. So one of my taglines is all things home. And this is actually really important. Want my database to think of me as all things home. So when you need an awesome contractor, it's not just the purchase, it's the before, it's the after, it's the I'm buying a beach house, it's the I want to invest. Like I really speak to all of that. And I also collect a lot of out-of-state referral fees because people really see me as like a hub for everything they need. And I position myself that way. So so this is made in Flowdesk. I always pick like a really aesthetic picture to capture attention. And then I always do these little bullet points of what's in the newsletter to kind of capture their attention. Then I write my personal message. And sometimes I use AI when I'm stuck, and then I tend to rewrite it so that it just sounds like me and get me
Right.
going. And I try to share something about myself. This was very much my voice. So I said, on one hand, I'm excited for warmer weather. I'm a summer person at heart. And on the other, I'm battening down the hatches for the combo of Peak Spring Market and Maycember as a mom to 2 preschoolers. I got multiple replies from people who hadn't heard the term Maycember before. Like people
I
are
actually have
reading.
not. I have
Oh,
not
really?
either. So I was
Okay.
like, what is Mace? I thought it was like something hyper local. I was like, all right, well, you have Maycember.
Yeah, it's like for a mom, it's like as busy as Christmas season. You're doing Teacher
Oh, okay.
Appreciation Week, end
I
of
didn't
school year
see
gifts,
Maycember.
graduation. Yeah.
Okay. But I did see somebody's post that was like anybody else like about to die because of everything that comes in May. So I did see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So
got
it's
it, got it.
like, yeah, so it's just like sharing my personality and like threading the needle of like personal and professional. Like if I was
Right,
being
right, right.
even less professional, I would have said things like, I'm a summer girly, but I'm like, let me like I'm sort of in the middle with how I position myself.
Yeah, I get it. I get
And then
it.
I talked about my own kids. I can't believe my son's about to graduate from pre-K. I'm planning my daughter's 3rd birthday party. Where did the time go? And then generally for my newsletter, my policy to myself is I just share my local gems. And if I have anything else that is easily top of mind that I want to talk about, I will add it in. And otherwise, I just share my local stuff. That's enough. It doesn't need to be an 8-part newsletter, is what I tell people all the
Right.
time. Who wants to read that? Who wants to open a newsletter on Gmail and have to click that button to keep reading it? You know what I mean? Like,
I
we don't
might
want
be
to do that to
guilty of
people.
I might be guilty of sending a few texts like that. I was like,
Oh
"Did you
my
read my
God.
whole text?" And they were like, no, no, I didn't." But now I learned that it's a thing that like you can push a text and still go. They were like, "Nobody's ever done that to me before."
Yeah, no, I'm the queen of a long text, a long voice memo. So I've really had to work to make my emails digestible.
Right.
So in April, I had recently listed and sold 2 higher dollar properties, and I really wanted to put that on my database's radar and be like, look at what I'm doing. So I did add this extra feature of a just sold and a just listed. And those, of course, people love to look at luxury real estate. So
Right.
everyone is just interested in it and intrigued by it, and it's aspirational. So this is something that was like a bonus that I just happened to have something I wanted to say. And then for the month of April, the way this whole thing kind of came about was I had just visited my dentist for my 1-year anniversary of my dental trauma when my jaw locked shut.
Oh,
And I had had this idea that I wanted to share him with everyone. And then it just hit me like, oh, I'm going to share all my regulars this month. So I put this together and I said each month I look at my calendar for inspiration of what I'm up to so I can share it with you. And then I shouted out where I get my haircut, my dentist, my nail place, and my vet. And I included some like cute photos. And, I do include my kids in my newsletter. That's, obviously a personal choice on privacy. And then I called out, I'm here for you with all things home, da 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 da. And then the Instagram at the bottom always gets a lot of clicks. And then my link bar gets a lot of clicks also. So what's here is very intentional of what I want people to do. So I'm driving them to Real Scout here and here. People love to stalk my team. They are always looking at my Meet My Team page. I don't know why. So I leave it there because they want to see who's on my team. It's not changing that often, and then I've always got my luxury landing page. And then we have a Facebook group for our past clients.
nice. Yeah,
And I'll
me too.
pause and take a breath in a second. But after I put this up, I was like, ooh, let me repurpose this into an Instagram post. And then while I'm at it, why don't I come up with a couple more frames that are worth, sharing? And then I made this post, which I'm in my other account. You can't see here, but this had over 30,000 views. I picked up 100
Okay.
followers from this one carousel and tons of saves, tons of shares. So and this did take a little time. I went through my camera roll and found a picture of each thing. So it was like a very high value. And all of these captions were like written by me. So that just really connected the dots for me of like, I could be going there's my dental trauma.
I feel that.
So
I feel that in my core.
yeah. Yeah. So I've been like going, harder and harder with local content, which then informed what I'm doing for May. So I'll do one more screen share and then I'll pause to like unpack this with you a little bit. Let me just open the tab I want to open and get it over here. Can you see my May one now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I decided for May that I had this just random idea that I wanted to think about like local watering holes, fun things to do to like swim this summer that don't involve like having joined a pool where it's like already too late by June to join a pool around here.
Right.
So I had Claude do some research and come up with all the options of like rivers and places you can go and whatever. So this is what I'm sending out actually at the end of this week, which was going to be the center of my newsletter. It's like a lot of content. But also I'm pushing Real Scout. So I started with a reminder, just literally, have you tried Real Scout yet? And then I gave them the value proposition and the link to open their account. And then I used Claude to do a heavy amount of research, to assemble my watering hole content. And then it was too long, and then it made it too short. So then I just made it digestible. And then I also have this ready to copy and paste as a carousel post that I'm going to put up closer to Memorial Day. So I lined up all the, these places you can go in my area, especially some that are like lesser known. And then I like threw in a little joke about how it's illegal to swim in the reservoirs here, but like, have you done it? Like wink, wink. And then I try to use my email the way people use Instagram with like replying with keywords or asking people to respond. You would be amazed if you start asking in your email, reply home to find out the value of your home. Or in this case, reply to this email if you know of another hidden gem watering hole I can add to my list. People love to correct you and tell you what you missed or like what you did wrong. So, and then, you have your busybodies who like to contribute. And I love to nurture people who like, they end up being the people who tag me the most in Facebook posts. So like, I invite a lot of engagement through my email. And that's another reason I know my email is working. Sometimes I don't get any responses, but sometimes I get a bunch, or sometimes no one replies, but then people all mention it to me when I like run into them. And I'm just like, dang, like people are really looking. So
yeah, it definitely keeps you top of mind as well.
Yes. Yep. So that's what I do with my newsletter. So
well, I love that. So I think being able to see it also, I'm somebody that's visual. And so hopefully that was powerful for some of our moms to get to see it. Okay. I want to jump to a couple of these questions. So of course, lots of comments just saying, love this. I was laughing, Courtney. I completely agree. One of my biggest takeaways was the upgrade to the link bar. I was like, oh, there's a couple things on there that are like super smart, including Real Scout, because I have Real Scout and I am a team. So I also know what that cost looks like alongside you. And I also know I underutilize it. And so I was like, I love that. Okay. So
yeah, one thing with link bars, just a tip, you don't need to have 5. Like just driving to the 2 or 3 things that create the most value for you or them is plenty. So don't put crap in there. Like if you just want people to like make their own HomeBot or Real Scout account, or you could even reiterate, come connect with me on Instagram in addition to the image that embeds automatically, that's plenty if you don't have a lot of websites that are worth linking to.
Perfect. Christy asked if you could possibly share the template. She would love to start sending clients something monthly that has nothing to do with real estate.
Yes. So I've been selling this template with a mini training that is above and beyond what I just gave for a long time. So it's $19. I'm going to make a Moms in Real Estate promo code. So it's half off just as like a gesture for everybody. So I will share that. But you get this template and then a video tutorial of how to use Flowdesk and just how to use this quickly and not get like stuck on like little details, and a lot more of my philosophy.
Awesome. I love that. Well, this was so valuable. And I mean, the bottom line is that, what some of the big takeaways are, like, it doesn't have to be done perfectly. It does need to be done authentically. And this is one of those ways to stay in front of your clients and make sure that you're delivering value, but also a little bit of that like authenticity, which one of the things I've been reading a lot about is how that is going to, I've always felt like that's our superpower. I've always felt like that's the thing that we have that like, but going into like the biggest AI has never been a thing before, but going into this decade where AI is going to transform everything, one of the things I'm seeing over and over and over is that is going to become one of the most valued items that we have is our authenticity. So what I would encourage somebody to say, and I'm sure Tina would agree, is like, get creative and think about you, who you are and what you want to show up and do. Like, I freaking love that you're doing like what you're loving locally, because I literally just went through my eyeglass process. Like I went through it. My mom booked me at
Yes.
this place randomly. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And afterwards, I was sitting there and I was going, I just missed like such a big opportunity. Like, because I didn't take video. I was like, I could have done a voiceover, done the whole thing. Like, I learned things I didn't know. Also, I started my eyeglass journey on Zinni, so I had a very unrealistic expectation of glass expenses. And so, anyways, I leave there very happy. $1,500 later, and
Woo!
the bottom, yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. But anyways, I was like, man, people would have like, I mean, I would have appreciated hearing somebody's point of view. I have found that I have started moving towards like looking for a review where somebody's like me, where they're like, okay, I care about XYZ and this matters and that matters. And all of a sudden that validates that we're the same human and I want their opinion. So Tina, I think that, you know, for me, like this was immediate, like, dang, I can wait. I could go back and I could put this in a newsletter. But also, I just think that is gold. I think so many people love to get recommendations from somebody they trust.
Yeah. And I just want to say it's not too late for you to make an Instagram post, because a selfie of you with your new glasses, the same picture, and then tell the story in a carousel. Carousels are easier to for me on reach right now than reels. So, but yes, also do your newsletter.
Yes,
And
yes. Okay, well, you've encouraged us all.
and I just want to say this. I did not come on here to sell my template. So like I'm so passionate about this, but I just want to say for any of you that are going to try and do this, like there's a very like immediate point where I see people get stuck. They just start to tell themselves that they're not like their life isn't interesting enough. They're not doing anything, blah, 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 blah. So like you just have to get going, use my template or something like it, or just open up Flowdesk and just add like a picture and a section and a sign off and a link bar and look at your calendar. And one other thing that's really helping me right now is I am voice chatting into Claude and just using it as my brainstorming buddy so that I can move faster than like waiting for maybe like one of my business buddies to reply in Boxer, which I also do all the time. But just saying like, I'm stuck. I need to do a newsletter for the first time. Help me come up with some ideas. Like can you research what's happening in this zip code, da, 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 da. And you just have to get the first newsletter out. My newsletter gets prettier and better and more strategic every single month. So it's like, not like it's so great, but like I feel so great about it now because I've been sending it monthly for so long that it's just like totally dialed in. Like anything in business, like you do just have to get started and like don't let fear stop you. Brainstorm with AI or a person, have them hold you accountable and send it out. That's what I want to end with.
Well, I love that. And I think it's perfect because most agents are sitting on business that already exist in their contacts.
100%. 100. And then,
So,
and there's this peace of mind of knowing that you're not sleeping on your database anymore, which stresses a lot of people out. And when you know that you're
1000%.
hitting them with email, it's like you've done what you can do reasonably.
Yep.
And maybe you
And then
do
you
two
have, like
emails
you
a
said,
month someday.
yep,
Or not,
exactly. Oh
you
my
know?
goodness. But I feel like Tina, I know you only have 30 minutes, so I want to be respectful of your time. But
Yes.
I know that Christy also said like what is join a pool? So I'm pretty sure in your area, Tina, lots of people join pools, like they get memberships, right?
Yeah, like local swimming
Yeah,
pools, like they're mostly private, not public. So yeah,
got
that's
it.
the
Yeah, like we have the Elks Club.
situation.
We don't have a lot of other private pools, but we have the Elks
Okay.
Club. But the reason that I shared that comment really quick is because also if you're somebody who has been working to niche down and you're somebody making a pivot. So for me, you know, I decided 20 plus years into my career, right at about 20 years, probably about 5 years ago, I made the decision I wanted to help families escape the suburbs, right? And this is also
Ooh.
another opportunity. So that's like my niche, that's my thing, that's what I do. And so showing up and sharing maybe, you know, like that new lifestyle or sharing your pivot into that lifestyle or your takeaways, that is going to continue to position you and brand you and really get people to understand, okay, like if I'm thinking about doing this, this is my person to do that. So when you said the pools, I just immediately thought, because we have a handful of people that have like Elk Club memberships for the pool, and they're a very specific group of people, you know. So I think
Mhm.
this is an opportunity to lean further into your niche without having to like, you know, like blast it everywhere. It's a really subtle way.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we will stop after this, but there's one thing I do need to add. I talk with agents all the time about their Instagram content and their email content. And I think we've all watched these people who are growing and they're using maybe Agent Toolkit and they're out filming these gorgeous properties
Right.
and going to the new restaurants when they open. And a lot of moms like us, I'm not going, I like to be home for bedtime. Well, sometimes I want to escape, don't get me wrong, but like I am not out trying the new latest and greatest. So like I was actually telling myself a story for a while that like creating that kind of content and growing online that way isn't going to work for me. But what I realize is my regular life of my dentist and the playground that we go to a lot and the whatever, you know, my friend
Mhm.
who's the like that is actually interesting to other regular people who are just like me.
Yep,
So
your people. Mhm.
yeah, so if you're telling yourself this story that you aren't doing things that are interesting enough, I would just challenge that because what I'm doing isn't that interesting and yet it is interesting.
Yeah, so good. Oh my goodness, I love that. That's a perfect note to end on. Tina, thank you so much for giving us time today and jumping on here as our impromptu guest. And Tina's going to circle back, and our team will make sure that not only in our newsletter this recap goes out, but they will get a post with her link and the Moms in Real Estate promo code. So thanks, sister, for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and if anyone's still watching and you want to connect, find me on Instagram. I'm
Yes.
at High Performance Agent, and I would love to chitty chat on the side if you want to talk about your email anytime.
Perfect. And we will also include that in our recap so you can get a hold of
Thank
Tina.
you.
All
You're
right.
the best.
Bye, ladies. Bye.